my audience. Thank you for being here. During the long Indian tenure, the land remained undefiled, save for the scratches no deeper than the clearings of the cornfield and the irrigation canals of the Arizona desert, wrote Stuart Udall in 1963. Corn, maize, Zea mays, call it what you will, is a quintessentially American crop. And when I say American, I mean in the continental sense, from corn's birthplace in southern Mexico, about 7,000 BCE. Given that amount of time, about 9,000 years, the crop has a long, rich history that goes along with traditions, religion, the migration of people, culinary traditions, and just plain botanical curiosity. But that said, why is it important today? Well, first of all, it's linked inextricably to everyone's life. And I'll go into that in more detail later. But there's also the fragile history of corn that hangs in the balance due to our modern day practices concerning this crop and their effect on the natural and agricultural environments. But fortunately, there is something we can do to bring this plant back from the brink. Zea mays, as is known by its Latin binomial, is a true American ancestral plant. But it has since spread across the world. It is the most planted crop in the United States by acreage, and is so year in and year out. It's planted everywhere from central Hungary to the lowlands of China and vast swaths of Africa, where it feeds many a people. But why is it so popular? Well, there are many uses. Food is a main use, feed, and for industrial purposes as well. Corn is mostly used as a food in developing countries. Think about tortillas in Mexico, or porridge in much of sub-Saharan Africa. In first world countries, such as the United States, some of southern South America, and much of Europe, corn is cultivated as a feed crop to feed our vast amounts of livestock, such as our cattle, our lambs, our swine, poultry, etc. It serves many industrial purposes, including the very controversial purpose of ethanol production. Now, ethanol production, I believe, and many experts believe, is a very unsustainable practice, but huge tracts of land in the United States and elsewhere are used to produce corn for fuel that we use every time we go to the gas pump. That's mostly because the ethanol lobby is a very strong lobby, and we are more or less at their mercy. But I think much more interestingly are the food uses of this crop. There's tortillas, as I mentioned earlier, porridge, tamales, polenta, Johnny cakes, bourbon as a libation, and many, many more. So many, it's impossible to list them all. But all is not well. There's been traditional breeding for millennia that has resulted in corn as varied as the size of one's pinky to the size of your forearm. Every color from white to black, everything in between. But that millennia-long breeding is in much jeopardy. Although corn, by its history, is very diverse, with names such as Glass Gem, Bloody Butcher, Amish Butter, and Painted Mountain. Big agribusiness and biotechnology companies have put that into jeopardy by formulating and breeding genetically modified, chemically intensive crops that are bred not for their adaptability to locales, but rather for the profit of those companies. Unfortunately, the problem is a loss of genetic biodiversity and the loss of the genetic seed bank, which has been utilized for thousands and thousands of years. and also the proliferation of superweeds, ultra monocultures, chemical intensive farming, and the poverty and indebtedness of many third world and small farmers. But let us not lose hope. The DuPonts, the Monsantos, the pioneers of this world, and their ilk cannot reach the grassroots. It's all about independence. In the grassroots movement, there are seed companies such as Siskiyou Seeds, Adaptive Seed Company, Native Seed Search out of Arizona, which do everything they can to breed new cultivars that are locally adapted and help to preserve the traditional cultivars that are in threat of being lost. And you can grow your own. For instance, I grew this Painted Mountain, beautiful purple, yellow, red, you probably can't see it very well, corn. And anyone can do that in their backyard. The bottom line is that Zia Mays has had a long relationship with mankind, and few would exist without her. But importantly, it's important to remember that not all corn is the same. Biotech companies have been endangering the world food supply and natural environment and livelihoods of farmers. But let us hope that the tide is turning and that we may live to see the end, one corn patch at a time. Thank you.